According to recent rumors, Star Fox is coming back very soon. Now, the game was apparently supposed to be announced sometime in April. It's May. What's going on? Now, in defense of the original source, Nin10doland, he probably was just off with the reveal date. Yes, I'm still 100% expecting this. I've seen so many different sources say that this is a real thing coming this summer, and yeah, I think he just jumped the gun trying to predict a date from Nintendo as to when they would reveal this thing, which you just can't do, because you can never predict that. Nintendo's so off the rails right now. But this whole wait for a new Star Fox has got me thinking, and also got me hungry to think what Nintendo could actually do for a Switch 2 Star Fox game. This is Nintendo's chance to completely redeem this franchise. I mean, thankfully they brought back Star Fox in a huge way in the Mario Galaxy movie, but it's time to do it also with the video games, because in my opinion, we haven't had a grand Star Fox outing since Star Fox 64. Games like Assault were really good, but just not quite the level of 64. But I think each game can be looked at in order to pull something from for the new upcoming Star Fox game. So today, I want to kind of make the best Star Fox game possible. What can Nintendo do to make sure that this next Star Fox game is a massive hit and the best version that it could possibly be? From what we've heard so far from Nin10doland and the rumors, this is going to be a classic style Star Fox game. So when I hear classic style, I think of on-rail missions and all-range missions. Something that may not have any type of ground missions like in Assault, something that goes back to Star Fox 64, which is something that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, Star Fox Zero was literally still in a classic style and formula if you ask me, so that just makes the most sense. Apparently the game is going to have really good graphics, some sort of online multiplayer, and is supposed to release around June in the summertime. So I kind of want to pick up from there and start some ideas. This new Star Fox game should be an entirely new story. They keep repeating and retreading the same Andross origin story from Star Fox 64, and I'm tired of it. If they have to use Star Fox Zero as the rebooted origin story, then fine, move on past that. Don't continue to keep retelling the story of Andross and you flying in with James McCloud's ghost telling you where to go and you taking out his big head in order to fight a brain. Like, we've been there, done that. Not a brain in Zero, though. I really liked the story with the Aperoids in Star Fox Assault. I thought it was pretty cool, and even in Star Fox Command, you had a completely new race of enemies called the Anglers, which were just anglerfish. It was unique, and finally gave us something different to fight than just Andross and his monkeys. But on the topic of Star Fox Command, they need to pull from that game's length, because Star Fox games can be extremely short. I mean, I just recently decided to go back and replay every Star Fox game, and I pretty much easily finished them all within a week and a half, outside of Star Fox Adventures. We don't want to talk about that one right now. No matter what you think about Star Fox Command, the game has tons of different routes. I mean tons. I think the new game needs something like this, something to actually bring players back after a 4 to 5 hour campaign, which is probably going to happen. But one thing I thought of is each planet actually having multiple different missions. Imagine if, for instance, Fortuna has 3 different missions that you can do, depending on which direction you enter the planet and which path that you take. Maybe one mission on Fortuna will have you on the ground section driving the Landmaster, and then the next one will have you in your R-Wing, flying in a completely different section of the planet. And maybe there's a third mission on that planet that you can find that takes you to another completely different area and level, but this time it's an on-foot shooting mission. Now, I don't think the next game is going to have on-foot gameplay. I would actually really like it. I think jumping in and out of the cockpit with different vehicles is pretty cool. I love that in Assault. But still, you get my drift. It could be 3 different styles of gameplay for each planet. So yeah, this would be pulling a page from Star Fox Command and having multiple different routes that you can take. The only difference is you actually have classic style missions this time instead of whatever these were. I think even if this is a classic style game, I would love for them to spice up the mechanics a bit. I feel like something different with the way that the ship actually moves would help. If this game is going to have a fun, active online multiplayer, dogfights need to be more interesting because they can often suffer from the same cycles with all the past games. Do a loop when they get behind you, continue to blast them, then they do a loop, follow them around. Do a loop, get behind them, then they do a loop. It's just over and over and over again. So adding something could be cool. Like one thing I thought was faster speeds and also being able to maybe do like an air drift or something where you could quickly turn around. There's even a scene in the Mario Galaxy movie where Fox does a quick little air drift and spins back around to shoot the UFO. Also, if you couldn't tell by now, I am in full support of them bringing back ground missions from Assault. This would make multiplayer even deeper. Imagine if you were freely able to fight people online, on the ground, pick up weapons, or even jump into an R-Wing, or jump into a Landmaster, and just pretty much have a fun little free-for-all as you shoot each other. I mean, that could be so much fun. I also think the Walker from Star Fox 2 and 0 was a really unique idea, and I would love to see this return as well. Especially if there's no ground-based missions, at least having the Walker would be a plus. There's something just so fun and smooth about switching from R-Wing to Walker and vice versa. One of my biggest complaints with Star Fox Zero was the complete lack of bosses. In the original SNES game and even the 64, there was always a boss to accompany the end of a mission. It's always so much fun to get to the end of a stage and see what kind of crazy contraption you're going to be fighting this time, and they completely kind of removed that from Star Fox Zero. There were bosses in Zero, and some of them were pretty good, but it definitely wasn't every stage. It was more like every 2 to 3 stages you would get a boss, and they recycled a lot of the same ones. And in Zero, they didn't even come close to some of the unique ones we saw. Even in Star Fox Command, there were some bosses where, like for instance this one in Solar, where you had to push it into the lava in order for it to take damage. Or this battle with Aperoid turned Pigma, where he's this giant 4-piece cube unit, and you have to change the colors to his purple face in order to get him to actually expose the weak point. It's very unique and clever ways of fighting a boss. So yes, I'm really hoping the next Star Fox game has tons of unique boss battles for us. At least a boss battle to end each individual mission. Like I said previously, for online multiplayer to be replayable and tons of fun, the game's gonna have to have some new and unique mechanics. One thing I think would be really cool is being able to choose a different character in their different ship that has different properties. Once again, Star Fox Command, I did not think I'd be pulling from this game so much today, but it has lots of different playable characters with playable ships that all play a little bit different. I mean, we can literally just look at Star Wolf. Leon's ship doesn't even have a blaster, it only shoots charge shots. However, it can lock onto and fire on tons of targets at the same time. One of my favorites, Panther Crusoe, has a ship that has almost like a sniper rifle-like effect. It shoots in a very slow burst, but it's extremely powerful. So if you have really good aim, you can change shot speed for really high power. And Slippy doesn't even have a charge shot. He has a more accurate and powerful blaster, and he also has an extra slot for another B-bomb. And if we have a giant roster of characters in R-Wings, this could be so cool because each one would play a little bit different that would fit someone's needs. Maybe one moves a lot faster or has better brakes or just has better accuracy and low power. They could come up with tons of different properties for the ships and characters. I think this would be really awesome. Except for Amanda's tadpole submarine. Get this ugly thing out the game. For online, I would also really love to see some type of online leaderboards or maybe ranking system. Maybe a casual and ranked mode would be really cool for like the most try-hard of dogfighters. You could also maybe have in-game statistics for each stage. Maybe there's in-game leaderboards for who has the highest score in every mission in the game that you can try to compete in. That would be really cool. We already talked on the game having multiple different levels and multiple different branching paths in order to keep the longevity of the game high, but something else that would keep players coming back well after rolling the credits is reasons to replay each stage. For instance, what if every single stage and mission has like 3 hidden collectibles somewhere in the stage? They could easily do this even for on-rail missions and not just free-range missions where you just have to fly over or through a certain area or shoot a certain target or thing in the background in order to expose the hidden collectible. Now, Star Fox Zero I think dabbled on this a little bit, but nothing quite like Star Fox 2 on the SNES. This game actually did have collectible medals in some of the rooms that you could go in and you could actually find. So this would give players more reasons to uncover and replay every single stage multiple times in order to find any little hidden secret that could be hiding somewhere. And just how I was recently talking on the multiple characters of Star Fox Command and how that would be awesome for multiplayer, that could be awesome for replayability in single player as well. Perhaps after you beat the single player campaign, you're able to go into free mode with any character that you want in every mission, and it actually tracks you beating that stage with every character. So you can go through every mission in the game with every single character if you want in order to achieve a special reward. Yes, it would be a lot of work, but we've seen Nintendo dabble on this idea before, especially with Kirby. I mean, with Kirby Air Riders, there's a lot of stages and missions that keep track of each vehicle and character you used on every stage. Kirby Star Allies does the same thing. It keeps track of every single partner character you've completed the story with, which to this day, I haven't even got halfway through that list, but it's just a cool thing to have because it gives me a reason to replay Kirby Star Allies over and over and over again because each character has a slightly different moveset. And the same thing would be applied here, where each pilot and individual R-Wing will play different from one another. Like completing a mission where you only have a charge shot, like with Leon's ship, compared to not having one at all, like with Slippy's ship, could completely change the dynamic of each mission. One mode I would love to see is a boss rush mode, or just some way to replay the bosses without having to go through each stage. Now the stages in Star Fox aren't that long, so it's not a horrible thing, but I would love to be able to just go through different bosses in the game, or maybe even have a full-on boss rush where it just puts you on boss after boss after boss that you fought already, and maybe eventually even some harder versions of bosses. And Star Fox Zero kind of did this with harder versions of bosses, but not necessarily a dedicated mode to fight bosses only. Could you imagine if we also got like a side racing mode? Yeah, there's actually lore in Star Fox Command where there's a timeline where Fox loses Crystal, he joins Falco in a Lilat GP and races R-Wing racers. Look, it's wild, but hey, I would love a little side mode like this. There was also that Star Fox Grand Prix leak that was allegedly a trick from Nintendo to snuff out the leakers, so yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they actually had a plan for this at once. Something else I thought is, what if there was a mode to customize your own R-Wing, like Sakurai added with customizing your own machine in Kirby Air Riders? Now, they could make this a purely cosmetic thing, and maybe for each character, you can customize each individual ship the way you want, or maybe you can build your own ship design from scratch, and if you want your ship to play a certain way, you can put certain parts and pieces on there to do so. If you want your ship to be faster, but less power, you can make that happen, or if you want it to be a charge shot only ship, you can put that mod on your own ship. I think that could be a cool option as well. But honestly, I'd be fine with just being able to change the color or add some customizable things on my R-Wing, maybe even change the color of the lasers that you shoot, the B-bombs, or even the trails that you leave behind would be an awesome idea. This video is about to get even crazier because another mode that would be awesome is maybe like an open world free range mode where you can just run around a little open world area. Imagine you get a part of Corneria City where you can just run around and just do things. Maybe it's just like a little hub world where you can freely run around on the ground, jump into an R-Wing, jump into different things, play around, mess around. Like, what if all the other modes are accessed through areas or buildings in this little open world city in Corneria, where you can run in like an arcade and play classic versions of Star Fox games like Star Fox 1 or 2, or even Nintendo 64's Star Fox. Perhaps a better example of this would be something like Pac-Man World 2, a little hub world that's full of secrets and little fun buildings to explore, like a music jukebox that you can see, or classic arcade games, just some reason to explore a mini hub world. The remake of Pac-Man World 2 also has a little gacha machine where you can go in and grab little toys by inserting coins, so I would love something like that for Star Fox. Like, could you imagine if there was like a Smash Brothers trophy thing where you could collect a bunch of dioramas and trophies of past characters and enemies from the past Star Fox games? I would love that. Shoot, this is starting to sound more like a Sakurai developed Star Fox game, which I would not hate. Before we finish this video, there's a couple of extra things I want to talk about. One, if this game has multiple characters, I really hope every single character in the game has some really cool voice acting. I would also be down for unique dialogue depending on the team. For instance, what if one of the online modes is 4v4 or 3v3, and your team, depending on the characters on that team, all have different interactions with each other on the comm system? I also would really love for there to be some really high quality cutscenes. I mean, if you look at Starlink Battle for Atlas, lots of those character models and scenes look so crisp and clean. I really hope we see that with the next game as well. If there are in fact planets with multiple different missions for each one, I really hope that there's like weather effects or different times of day for the different missions. like maybe you'll be able to play that stage at night, or a level that's raining or snowing really hard. Once again, Star Fox Zero had a couple of extra missions that did this, like there was one with Cornerio where it was kind of like a sunset approach, which I thought was pretty cool, but unfortunately it was like the same exact stage. I'm talking different stages with this effect though. Maybe all range missions can work differently this time. Star Fox Zero kind of did something sort of like this by having different phases for the missions, but what if the all range missions wasn't just something that ended a stage? For instance, maybe the mission starts on rails and then has an all range mission or boss battle and then goes back to on rails to finish the mission. A good example of this could always be the endings of Star Fox, especially with Star Fox 64, where you start off on a little on rails section going to the center of Venom. It stays on rails as you fight the first phase of Andross. It then opens up to all range mode for the second phase of Andross, and then ends with another small on rails section in order to escape the core. Having more in-game missions with this variety would be really cool. I really hope there's like some sort of in-game radio station for your R-Wing where maybe you can choose what tunes you listen to, whether you're playing online multiplayer or whether you're just replaying old stages. You can listen to a full range of different tracks from past games and even from the current game. And with that, that's about it. I think there's a lot of directions that they could go with this next Star Fox game, because the series feels still so fresh. Even though we've got a bunch of games under our belt, there's still so much they can do with just the basic formula. So I hope they do keep the game basic like Star Fox 64, but expand on it like they did with Star Fox Zero without going too far with gimmicky controls. Like, we don't need any of that. Keep it classic controls, but don't be afraid to add new mechanics like the Chicken Walker, which was such a great addition in Star Fox Zero to me. But there's a real good chance that there's stuff that I missed and didn't even think about in this video. So please, let me know down below if there's anything else that you would want to see in a brand new Star Fox game. And let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my takes, and let me know why. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you all in the next one. See you guys.